A very warm welcome to everyone on the session on unlocking Assam's energy potential, building a future-ready oil and gas infrastructure, innovation and investment aligned with global transition. We start this session with a very special fire chat with a very special guest amidst us. A very warm welcome to the Honourable Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Shri Hardeep Singh Puri ji. Honourable Minister, it is an absolute privilege to have you on the dais with us. And before we start the fireside chat, I think many of these things you will already know. But for the benefit of the audience, and a very young audience, I might add, I wanted to share a few facts about India's energy revolution over the last decade. India's petroleum product consumption has increased to 234 million metric ton, which is 50% over the last decade. Now, this has been on the back of an exemplary increase in all forms of energy and infrastructure. The natural gas pipeline has increased to 25,000 kilometers from 15,000 kilometers. The number of CNG stations has increased 10x. It was about 738 in May 2014. Now it is close to about 7,000 plus. Even the PNG connections have increased fivefold, from 2.54 million in May 2014 to 13.9 million at present. And may I add that we are now a North Star in terms of our biofuel blending program, which is already close to touching 20% as I understand, sir. Honourable Minister, first of all, a big thank you from all of us in the energy sector, the consumers, the multitude of energy providers, service providers, and the future generations, many of whom are in the room today, for the fantastic journey that we have made so far. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. I feel deeply honored and privileged to be here. And let me start by paying a tribute to the dynamic Chief Minister, my friend. You know, many years ago, I'm now an old man, so I have to reminisce. When I was first taken into the Modi cabinet, I was Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs for something like 7 years, I think. And I went for a conference in Indore. It was a 3 hours conference. And since I speak a little Japanese, after a long career in the Foreign Service, I had a visiting Japanese counterpart, and he had arrived the previous evening. I said, "What did you do last evening?" So he said, "I went around town looking for something." So I said, "Looking for something?" So then he explained to me, since it was a 3 hours conference and we were talking about the Swachhta and the sanitation program, he said, "I was looking around for dirt." And I said, "How did you fare?" He said, "I couldn't find any." And Indore has been the cleanest city in the country, I think, in the Swachhta Sarvekshan for all the time. Why am I mentioning that to you? Because my comment after that to the press was, somebody asked me, what does it take to maintain that high standard? I said, well, you need a good municipal commissioner, you need this, that and the other, and of course you need a BJP government which will give you all the support. And of course I added at that point of time, the Chief Minister, but when I come to Assam, and this is one of many visits to the Northeast, I can tell you the history of the Northeast, the history of this part of the world to oil exploration is a long story. You remember Dig Boy, Dig. But today, when you look at the current figures, and I try not to use my notes, 15% of the oil contribution, crude oil, 14% of the gas contribution. That's not why I pay tribute to a dynamic Chief Minister. You can't have a meeting with him without him having a wish list of refinery ka expansion karna, IOCL, they need something, but you know, this guy is also a trader, so he has skin in the game. But that's what states should be doing. And I have no doubt that the policies which the Honourable Chief Minister, Prime Minister started, of which the Chief Minister is a very major executant, if I may use that new word, one who's executing that policy. Mind-boggling, the kind of figures I'm seeing on Advantage Assam, the kind of commitment about. And I can tell you, there is no other road to success and Atmanirbharta than what is happening here. You need to grow, utilize your potential and to utilize it to its maximum. Sorry for this slide, slightly long this thing. Let me come to your specific comments, and if I just make one or two comments on that. Any country, and I don't mean just India, will be assessed in terms of its economic performance by its energy utilization. I used to say till some months ago that energy is the backbone of the economy or the lifeline of an economy. No matter which way you look at it. Today, if energy consumption is slowing or declining, it's a sure sign that economic performance is, beginning to put up some red flags. India, in the 3.5 years of my being associated with this ministry, our oil consumption, crude oil consumption, has gone up from 5 million barrels a day to 5.5 million barrels. My speaking notes would say this will go up to 6.5, 7 million barrels a day. Not in the long future, in the short to medium term. So crude oil consumption will go up 20%, maybe more, 25, 30%. And along with that, you add all the other developments. You mentioned biofuel blending. We had a target of 20% blending. I've been speaking non-stop now for about 3 months, so forgive me, including at India Energy Week, but I'll come back to that in a minute. And I was doing prachar on the budget, and I was in Punjab yesterday before, and so on. So forgive my throat, but it'll hold. Biofuel blending, our target for 20% blending was 2026. And the Prime Minister has put in place an ecosystem. You said to almost reach it. We have reached it. Pankaj, 19.6% हो गया पिछले महीने. अगले महीने 20% तो कर ही लोगे. Today, any country that can achieve a biofuel blending target 6 years in advance means something is going right there. You need two things for green hydrogen. One, you need a demonstrated capacity to bring down the price of clean solar energy, which we've done. We brought it down from 25 cents a unit to 3 cents a unit. And you need electrolyzer. Since the Honorable Prime Minister announced the electrolyzer PLI being productivity linked incentive scheme, and made a provision for 19,700 crores, just about every electrolyzer manufacturer in the world today is in India, either jointly with an Indian collaborator or solely, and a lot of young startups. I have youngsters coming to me and say, sir, I made a membraneless electrolyzer. I went to BPCL, is not here, he took me in one of the India Energy Weeks thing where along with BARC, an atomic energy establishment, they utilize a technology which we normally use in our submarine. I'm a former joint secretary in the Defence Ministry. Because, you need to keep the crew inside a submerged platform, a submarine, with oxygen. So they split it and keep the oxygen and get rid of the rest. Fantastic innovation. Of course, it's a pilot project. The point I want to make, Mr. Verma, is that India is spending currently something in the vicinity of $150 billion on imports of different forms of energy. Green hydrogen, we have demonstration buses, 15 of them flying in Delhi, thanks to IOCL and Tata Motors. We have other forms of collaboration. Somebody asked me, when will green hydrogen take off in a really purposeful way? And I can tell you, today the price of green hydrogen, a lot of people come and give me BS that, sir, बहुत कम कर दिया, ये कर दिया, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में बना दिया, $5, $4. Look, I think the lowest anybody has got on green hydrogen per kilo price is about $4.5. $4.5. If you can bring it down, and I'm sure we can. Why can we bring it down? Because we've got breakthroughs in technology like pump storage. To bring it down from $4.5 to $2.5, I'll tell you there'll be a revolution of the likes of which the world has never seen. There'll be a massive shift from traditional energy to green hydrogen. And you know the beauty of green hydrogen is those buses can be flying in Guwahati and other parts of the northeast. All that they emit on the roadside is water vapor. That is the beauty of energy transition. So I think with all that you said, absolutely correct. But I think the real revolutionary change is now coming. Why do I say now in terms of a timeline? Two things. One is our ENP has taken off. Full marks to those state governments like Assam and others who are cooperating in 98.2 and others. Little lament, some of our state governments don't realize that they have the resources. We are not able to issue the petroleum mining license because they are involved in their other thoughts. I'm not going to be political, I'm not going to name any, states not in this region, but elsewhere. By 2030, I think our ENP would have reached a point where all the major players, I had a meeting yesterday with the Exxon chief. The other day I hosted the British Petroleum entire board for dinner at my residence. We've had Chevron, just about everyone we've been talking to. They're all interested in India. So biofuels takes off. Green hydrogen, I think the tipping point will come by 2030. They have a target of 5 million metric tons. I think it's very conservative. It will shoot up if you can bring the price of green hydrogen down. And to combine that with biofuels, CBG, etc., I think truly you have a revolutionary situation in your hand. And that is what will propel India from its $4 trillion economy now, not to 7 or 10, but well beyond that. Because the kind of entrepreneurial talent you have here, Honorable Chief Minister, I want to pay you a compliment. I know a little bit about organizing these events. We started IEW 3 years ago. And today it's already the second largest platform in the world. But you know what distinguishes a good one and IEW and this one? Because you see young people around. Because that is where, when I went to, as a 4-year-old, my first exhibition, I was accompanying my father in Brussels as a 4-year-old. It stuck in your mind. What you learn, it opens your mind. And let me tell you, we've done a very successful IEW. I just got a thought. Next year IEW, the 4th edition, we should invite our more active states to be participants in that. But for instance, you will have all the major CEOs of all the companies in the world on energy. This is a bigger platform. This is on investment, on others, but on an energy platform. If you have all the CEOs of all the ministers from other countries, why can't the investment and other technology-related decisions, let's say Assam as an example, have a separate session, half a day. We will request the Honorable Chief Minister to come. ONGC is getting its 240-acre specialized site ready. It will be a permanent venue for conferences there. So I think we just took that decision, and I've also just issued you the invitation as the first Chief Minister in that session.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, on that wonderful anecdote to start off with. You mentioned that Assam is the hub of ENP activity, and indeed it is. And wanted to get your perspectives on two of the most revolutionary acts recently in the upstream sector. One is the revised ORDA, which is the Oilfield Regulation and Development Act, and the other one is OALP. Assam has potential for huge oil and gas reserves. And how will both these acts help the investment of private companies, public companies into the ENP sector here and other parts of the country? So,
let me start with OALP. I don't want to put too many statistics on this, but one statistic which will condition our appreciation. The OALP, please correct me, the CMD, it is the largest offering globally at any point of time in history. We are opening up 200,000 plus square kilometers of exploration space all offshore in one go. What is the significance of this? The significance of this is, give you a little bit of historical perspective, we have something like 3.5 million square kilometers of sedimentary basin. But what is the point of having the sedimentary basin? What is the point of having all the known reserves of oil and gas if you can't prospect them? So the Honorable Prime Minister took a decision some time ago that out of that 3.5 million square kilometers, 1 million square kilometers was going to be opened up, which was a no-go area. And let me give you another interesting statistic. In the OALP round 9, 38% of the bids came in this area. This 1 million square kilometer which had been opened up. My sense is that OALP round 10, bulk of the bids will come in this area. Now, I want to go from hard statistics to some energy reality. You see, I keep telling people that there are many Guyanas waiting to be discovered in the Andaman Sea. Why do I say that? Because it makes sense that if you've got energy and oil floating in one part, it will float into the other part. Now, you have to be patient. You have to persevere. In offshore drilling, what happens is that sometimes an offshore drill, one well may cost what? $100 million. So sometimes you dig 16 wells and you get nothing, but you drill, in the case of Guyana, the 17th and you strike gold. So I think what the Prime Minister has started off and what we are now implementing, you just need one Guyana to be discovered. And second thing I want to say, and this is not meant by way of criticism, but I be very cautious about these oil economists who give you forecast. One of my speaking notes had, and I checked it out, in 1956, an economist working with Shell, very bright economist, he said that oil will peak by 2000. It means it will reach there and then